So we got a new cinematic that was totally expected. Anduin freed, returned back to normal. This much we already knew from the PTR. However, kinda expectedly, Varian returned because we saw that compass of his before, and completely unexpectedly, Saurfang just showed up, which makes you wonder, where did these guys actually come from? Wasn't Varian destroyed by fell magic all the way back in Legion, and shouldn't Saurfang be in the Maw in the direct control of the Jailer? Where did these guys come from? Why were they present in the cinematic? More importantly, were those actually their souls, or just Anduin's memories and hallucinations? Before we get into the video, I'd like to talk about this video sponsor, and that is Ridge Wallet. Now, I've genuinely used this wallet for, well, nearly 2 years since they sent it to me, and I've pretty much used it every single day. I haven't used another wallet ever since. So, you may be wondering what it even is. At first I was a bit skeptical about it, but it is actually excellent. You put cards here, they come out super easily. You put cash here as well, and really it is super sleek. It is very unique looking, you can kind of feel it is weighty, but it isn't too weighty. It just doesn't feel like cheap plastic, really feels like quality. Now, if you want to get a great discount, the 15% one, check out my link in the description or use code DORON and use my link in the description and get your own Ridge Wallet. Right off the bat, let us get into the facts and see what it is that we know and what it is that we don't know. So, I've seen a lot of people talking about how Varian's soul was destroyed, like absolutely shattered by Fel, and how he more than likely isn't even present in the Shadowlands, and I gotta say, right now we have about zero evidence that is actually the case. See, that kind of was the lore in the past, but I think at this point even Blizzard doesn't really know what exactly is and isn't canon. We believed fell magic destroyed souls, but we didn't really know that Shadowlands was such an elaborate realm and so many cosmological forces intertwining with it, so that really is only quite a recent discovery. On the other hand, there is some evidence from the Shadowlands that shows us that if a cosmological force strong enough claims a soul, then it doesn't go to the Shadowlands and obviously the Jailer, but that realm that claimed it, which we thought implied why some very strong light characters are not present in the Shadowlands, and if we follow that logic, then yeah, Varian should have obviously been claimed by Fel, and therefore either turned into a demon or just destroyed, but let's focus on the keyword here, if the force is strong enough. Now, if Varian did one thing on the Broken Shore, that was that he showed insane willpower and strength. So, while his body may have been disintegrated by fell magic, it is highly likely that his soul was left untouched. Because in Warcraft, the body and the soul are obviously quite separate. It isn't really a philosophical discussion. On the other hand, we have Varian Saurfang. His fate is also uncertain. We have actually witnessed his defeat, and that was done indirectly by the Jailer at the hands of Sylvanas, as she shot some crazy Shadowlands bolt at him. We don't even know what type of magic that is. Now, we know for a fact that he was killed when the Machine of Death was already broken ages ago, so he was 100% destined for the Maw. So how exactly was he even present in that cinematic? Shouldn't he be directly in the hands of the Jailer at this point, possibly being in the same shape as Artis is? Most importantly, the real question is, what even were those spirits of Varian and Saurfang in that cinematic? Were they actually souls of the two characters? Were they just memories, maybe just echoes of their soul? Were they in the blade? Did they arrive from some other realm to assist Anduin? What exactly is even going on? Well, the reality is that we don't actually have a concrete answer, at least officially from Blizzard at this point, but we do have some hints that we could look at for the situation to make more sense to us. First of all, let us look at what connects both of these powerful warrior souls: Shalamayne, aka Kingsmourne, aka the blade wielded by Anduin. I feel like the Jailer may have just messed up here, as he underestimated this blade and he thought it was just the same thing as Frostmourne. I know, huge shocker, giga brain mastermind fooled by a simple Night Elven blade, but hey, looks like they really pulled one over on the intelligence man. There has been an obvious parallel between Frostmourne, the blade of the Lich King, and Kingsmourne, Anduin's blade that bound him. Both were powerful rune blades that had insane powers to bind souls of the user, with one enslaving Artis, the other Anduin. However, and a big however, there is one major difference when you actually examine them. See, Frostmourne was created by Primus within the Maw, as he was imprisoned by Zobal and stripped of his memories, so really it is but a powerful rune blade forged directly in the Shadowlands and empowered by domination magic. That is the origin of Frostmourne. On the other hand, Shalamayne was something much different. While it was in the end turned into a runeblade akin to Frostmourne, the history of it is a completely different story. Long ago, Shalamayne was forged from two Night Elven blades, Shalator and Elemaine, so you get the name Shalamayne. It was initially wielded against the Legion, then Jaina got her hands on it somehow, and Varian, as he was split into two souls by Nyxia's magic, he received it in the end. So at this point, we had two Varians using one blue and one red blade. Then, when Varian was combined into one person again, the blades also merged for the first time, and thus Shalamayne was created. Now, why I'm telling you this is not to just give you a lore lesson on Shalamayne, but to show you that this is not a simple weapon. It is an ancient weapon that through magic is actually connected to souls. Of course, we don't know what type of magic Nyxia was wielding exactly. That could even be an expansion itself, but she managed to split Varian's soul, and as his soul was united, so were the blades, even though they were given to the separate souls. Now, this means that obviously there seems to be some sort of a soul connection to the blades themselves. Why this is super interesting is that this might just be the answer to what the hell does Varian Saurfang have to do with Shalamayne. We know Varian's soul was sort of intertwined with the blade, but how did Varian Saurfang manage to just, weasel his way into this legendary weapon? Because he literally only used it like once for like 30 seconds in that duel against Sylvanas. Well, remember what happened in that duel? Saurfang had that entire moment of for Azeroth, and he managed to split the blades. Now, if two variants combine two blades into one, what if one Saurfang managed to split his own soul in the process as he wielded the two swords? I know, very confusing, sounds like one of those tricky math questions, but just think about it. It could definitely be a process akin to the Mournblade splitting souls, just without the jailer's evil intentions, and then placing his souls in this personal weaponry. So similar mechanism, just without the jailer's malice. So this could really turn to multiple sides, speculations, and could be really interesting. A lot of people believe these might just be hallucinations and memories by Anduin, as he remembered these two characters because they both impacted him strongly. One was obviously his father that taught him everything, and Saurfang was the other that showed him sacrifice and his fight for Azeroth and just resistance. Realistically, they could be memories that appeared in that crucial moment, but why I feel like that isn't the case is because it seems to be incredibly connected to the blade itself, not just Anduin's mind, as in they came out of the blades, the souls came out of the blades, not just Anduin's brain. In regards to memories, he really could have gotten them at any other point. There seems to be some sort of a connection between the soul and the sword. Remember back in that Legion cinematic when Anduin reached the Broken Shore to find his father's blade? As soon as he grasped it, he got the memory of his father encouraging him to be a king. I feel like this is something between a memory and an actual soul, like actually talking. Also, it is important to note that there is a huge amount of shock on Anduin's face in this new cinematic, as if he didn't even know they were actually inside the blade, which is also another interesting point. So to simplify it and to sum it all up, here is what I actually think might be the case in regards to this. We have learned from the book and the story of Sylvanas that souls can be split, as well as from the recent Shattered Legacy cinematic you have probably seen, but it is a very complex and difficult process. This is done through Mournblades, or if the souls go directly into the maw, as was the case with Altus. For example, Zoal held half of Sylvanas' soul, and that is how he manipulated her all these years. That is also what he used to throw at her when she had betrayed him at the end of Sanctum of Domination, meaning he just kept a portion of her soul at his fingertips. However, what if Shalamayne was the antidote, the exact opposite of a Mournblade, but similar in the mechanism? Instead of splitting souls to go to the jailer, it instead kept this portion of the soul inside a blade so that it doesn't reach the maw and Zoal. It could 100% be connected to the power of Azeroth and the World Soul. We don't know the exact origin, but we know originally it was used to fight the Legion and defend Azeroth all the way back in War of the Ancients. Then it may have preserved Varian from Fel, and when Saurfang was fighting for Azeroth, it also saved him because the World Soul may have known about the jailer and what was coming in the future. Now, Shalamayne might not have saved the entire soul, but only a portion of it, just enough so that it doesn't fall into the hands of Zoal, and so that it isn't used as a weapon, and so that he can't do the same thing as he did to Artus. Now, I'd say it is sort of the case of saving the soul, but not enough for it to actually manifest itself in the full sense of the word. Because if the entire souls were there, wouldn't you think Anduin may have, like, you know, noticed them inside a blade because he wielded it for like years and years? I'd say it is unlikely he would be so shocked that Varian and Saurfang were inside if he knew about it. Now, when Zobal turned Shalamayne into Kingsmourne, he trapped them completely and there was no force to help him, but as we had weakened him in that battle, the blade had weakened just enough for the two souls to manifest themselves, to split up, to destroy the corruption, and to give Anduin that final push. The jailer literally used others as glue to keep Varian and Saurfang trapped, while also mind-controlling Anduin. We weakened the manifestation of the Fallen King, and that led to the two very powerful souls just breaking the entire thing. So ultimately, I think as we now defeat the jailer, Varian and Saurfang will have fulfilled their purpose and they should just go to the afterlife they deserve, as there is no longer a reason for them to linger around in Shalamayne. Thank you for watching. Check out the Anduin afters by clicking on the screen and check out the Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.